Here's the problem with culture though, particularly in the accounting world. It is a results-driven business, and showing vulnerability, showing weakness, being open, has not traditionally been the way it's done. Particularly as a man, if you showed weakness as a boy on the playground, you get bullied. So we're brought up as men not to show any signs of weakness and not to front up on things like that, but a vulnerable, open leader is exactly what you're saying, and I agree it's needed. Caroline, you want to come straight in?
I just have to say something on that one, because back to the conversation on data actually, so there's a really good study of plane crashes. You know, planes actually now have the best track record of safety of any industry, the airline industry. And the reason why they do is because there's a black box on every plane, and in the event of a crash, someone goes into the black box and they look at the data and they understand what's happened, and then they go through that data and they, you know, do a retrospective and they take the learnings and then they improve. And so you have to have a culture where you're willing to share openly what's going well, what's not going well. You have to get the data, because unless you have that kind of culture, people are saying, oh, there's a mistake over there, I'm a bit concerned about that. You know, that's not a sign of vulnerability, that's a sign of strength. And in the willingness to kind of open the data, take the learnings from it, and then execute against it. And that is how I think brilliant organisations and brilliant businesses are built. Yeah. It's certainly not by kind of hiding or covering up mistakes or, you know, being worried. You've got to be open to that. But that's the other part, of making sure there's not blame in the culture. Because when you get a situation where, you know, people come stamp down on every little thing, then you're never gonna, people won't share things. So just trying to kind of get this inclusiveness that is very focused on getting to reality and facts.
And Natasha, part of a leader in being open is allowing your personal life to bleed into your professional life. Men as a group, traditionally, it's very much about the job. It's very much about getting the job done, and when you ask a man how is it, you'll get a very short answer, but women generally think differently, and it's bringing that personal and that relationship into the everyday conversations.
Absolutely. So I talk about my time at work actually.
I do it.
So, you know, because they are the biggest part of my life, and so I'm very proud of them. So I want to, and also I think it's really important for people to see within the team that, you know, I have gone through the ranks at the firm and have a family, and you know that.
And you have a life.
And I have a life, yeah. But picking up on something Caroline said, not only is it really important, but are people want that? I think they want to hear how they're doing. They want that regular feedback, and that if there are any issues, how are you going to help me overcome those areas of weaknesses? Or this is something I really want to pursue. What is the firm going to be able to do to help me develop that skill set? So we have regular talks, they're called now, that line managers run with each of their teams, and that's a way of giving really quick, timely, relevant feedback to everybody, so they kind of can think about, what am I doing really well, let's celebrate that success, and what are the areas that need to work on, and how can the firm support them in working on that. So I think that is something that our people want.
Julie, we're heading into mental well-being territory, mental health. In being in a very demanding professional role, being able to say, I'm struggling, I'm not coping well, being open about things like that might be personal or business. Do you agree with that we should be able to talk about things?
Yes, I think it's a hugely challenging area, and I think the environment has changed a lot. Certainly 10, 15 years ago, there would have been no way that I would have expected anybody on the workforce anywhere, myself included, to have said, oh gosh, I've been struggling a bit, you know, with stress, with anxiety, with whatever it was from a mental health point of view. You wouldn't have dared to say anything, because you might not have a job then or in the future. And that has moved on a lot, and that is a societal thing as much as anything. So I think we are now in a position that we can say things like that. It doesn't mean that it's all, you know, easy to deal with, because any mental health issues are necessarily hard to deal with. My daughter has struggled with quite a lot of mental health issues. You know, that's at times affected my ability to do my job. Although I have to say, my husband did much of the supporting because he had a more flexible job. So, you know, we've got to give men some credit as well for their input on things. But I think that move in the right direction to be a bit more open about things that are impacting us can only help, especially when we're talking about getting good quality. If we're going to get good quality, whatever we're doing, and if we're professionals, we've got to have good quality, then we've got to accept when things go wrong and understand why and work to correct it.
I think that point on your partner in the relationship is really important, because like my husband is absolutely brilliant as well. So therefore I also encourage, so when I speak to young women within the firm who are about to have a child or have had one, I kind of also talk about the fact that it isn't just on you. There's two parents in there, and it's really great to have both of you involved in everything as much as possible. And I know there are different flexibilities with jobs and everything, but it shouldn't just be seen automatically as I'm going to have to take all of that burden. So for me, it's really important, and I've got two sons, and it's really important to me that I'm raising them with that mindset. I'm proud that my husband is a hands-on dad. That's